Today, we're going to take a look at short sales and foreclosures in the greater Salt Lake area. Now, nobody has this data for you other than Denko the Realtor. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. That way you're notified when new videos drop. Hit that like button. Help me get this video in front of more people. And again, make sure you hit that subscribe button because that's going to help the video grow. It's also going to help you stay up to date with what's going on in the Utah housing market. And when you need a realtor anywhere in Utah, remember, Denko the Realtor has your back like nobody else. Now let's take a look at this and I want to show y'all what's going on. I'm going to first show you some foreclosure or short sale stuff. Then I'm going to show you a foreclosure that I helped a buyer buy actually at the end and beginning of, well, end of last year of 2023, beginning of 2024. And I'm going to give you some insights on that. So right here, if we take a look at this property, oh, and it's not wanting to see here. See, sometimes technology is great when it works and it's not so great when it doesn't work. Let's see here. See if this is gonna, there we go. All right, right here, this property is listed at $349,000. Well, let's go take a look at what's going on with it. See, right there on Zillow, it's showing a short sale. Now, if we scroll all the way down, well, what's going on with this property? Well, let's take a look. So you see prices are all over the place. And that's what I've been saying. You have to time the market per the data, follow the data. There's the ups and the downs. We know that we've not reached the peaks of 2022. That hasn't happened since the prices started falling in that second half of 2022. So you want to be on the right buying end. And right now at the end of the year here, that's where we're at. We're at the buying end of the year where you're getting the better deals. I want to show you what I mean by that. If we scroll down here, when was this property bought? Well, this property right here was bought in April of 2023. We see right here when pending. And then of course it's sold. Well, they put it on the market here in the second half, right as school year was starting. And now we see that the price is way below what they purchased the house. Now that's a short sale. And I'll touch on what a short sale and foreclosure means and kind of the difference between the two. But I just want to show you guys kind of what's going on in the housing market here. Now check this out. This property is up for $360,000 in Clearfield. So this other one over here, this is a suburb of Salt Lake County. And this over here is going to be by the Hill Air Force Base. And if we take a look at the Zillow's special conditions, short sale. And if we scroll down, again, we see this chart here showing us what's happening with prices. And then right here, this is the big kicker. When was this one taken under contract and sold? Well, right here, June of 2022. So this was right as prices hit the peak of 2022 because May was the peak and then they started coming down. So this one here, they bought essentially at the peak of the housing market. And then we know what happened. After May, we saw 9 consecutive months of price drops, which really picked up as the school year was starting in August and as the holidays were coming around, where we saw the median price go from 600,000 all the way down to 515,000. Then we saw the uptick in the spring of 2023, downward trend in the second half of 2023, same thing, uptick in the spring of 2024, and now we're in a downward trend. So this is when you can take advantage of the housing market. I've been helping people take advantage of new construction, of existing homes, knocking prices down. Even when a builder knocked the price down, able to get an enormous amount of closing costs. I'm talking about over 30,000. These are the things that I'm able to do because we're following the data. We're not making, irrational decisions. We're not panicking because we're seeing, well, hey, what's going on with the inventory? If we take a look here, there's 11,000 units compared to a year ago of 9,300. So we see that that's going. I'm going to cover that as well. I'm going to be all over the place here because I want to show you what's going on in the housing market so you have the knowledge, the data of what's actually going on. Now, this one over here was a new construction. Well, you see 408,000. Well, we know what was going on with new construction. Also, actually, what I have here is an Excel sheet. So let me actually go over here to this and pull this up because what I was doing is a lot of hand counting because this is data you just can't pull up. So what I actually did was I took a look and tried to see where are these short sales at right now? What's going on? And I found a trend that I kind of knew was going to be a trend already. So just wanted to make sure that my thoughts and what I was seeing in the housing market actually, when I put pen to paper, was true. So we're going to dissect this together so I can show you what's going on with these short sales. Right here, if we take a look at, so I did this on the 30th. So that was a Tuesday at 11 o'clock at night. And here I am recording it on Wednesday morning. So this data, I guess you could say, is maybe about a day. It could be a house or two up or down, right? But if we take a look at the actives, it was 8,012 at that time. And look, short sales are not something that's just happening right now. We're not seeing an influx of them. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you want to make an educated decision of what's actually going on, because, well, we're seeing people hurting when they're buying at the wrong time, when life throws them a kicker, right? And right here, if we take a look, what's going on? Well, FHA leads the way with 19 out of those. Well, we have right here 23 actives of short sale and 14 that are under contract of short sales. Now, if we come down here, 19 of them are FHA, 9 of them are VA, and 8 of them are conventional. Now, conventional loans make up the biggest share of the purchases. And then you have your FHA and VA. VA is the veterans, right? FHA is going to be people that can't qualify. Your conventional is 5% down. There is a 3% conventional as well, but usually it's 5% down. There's some qualifications for that 3%. And then FHA is 3.5%. So a lot of people, first-time home buyers, will take advantage of the FHA. It has lower credit requirements than conventional. So it has a little bit of a more higher mortgage insurance up front kind of thing. But essentially, we're kind of seeing this. And now if I actually go back over here, I covered this in a previous video. FHA adds, let me remove myself. FHA adds new option to help homeowners catch up on past due payments. Payment supplements would be reduced by up to 25%. 25%. So if everything was great in the economy, why would they be reducing people's principal and interest payments by 25%? Not for 1 year, but for 3 years. I went over this in a previous video. And then VA at the beginning of 2024 told servicers, do not foreclose on any VA loans until May. And when May came around, they were still not foreclosing on these VA loans. And VA started buying back these loans. And now we're seeing FHA allowing these payment supplements. Well, this is going to be okay for now, but if people start losing their jobs, then even if they decrease their principal and interest, it's not taxes and insurance, just their principal and interest for 3 years, they still might not be able to make them up. So this reason we're not seeing this short sale and foreclosure wave increase at least a little bit is because they are doing things to kind of prevent it. But if you're buying at the end of the year, that's when the better deals are if you're buying a short one. Now, if you're trying to see how this is going to unravel, that can take another year, right? And it depends what happens with unemployment. I've always said unemployment has to really go up for us to see that real pain, because you're just not going to see foreclosures and short sales in big numbers unless you have forced selling with unemployment. Now, back to the data here. So we're seeing that FHA is number one when it comes to short sales, VA is second, and conventional, which is the biggest share, is it's not it's a little bit less than VA and not as high as FHA. Now, if we go over here, when were these purchases made? So what I did is I went through and I was pulling the data to see when these purchases were made, and some of them were actually refis. So I had to dig a little bit deeper. Some of the ones that were, I couldn't really find all the information, but I was actually able to find pretty much everything. So it took a while to do this. So make sure you smash that like button, because there was a lot of legwork, a lot of pen to paper to count this manually, what's going on. So make sure you smash that like button for me. And right here, if we take a look, when did the most of those sales happen? Well, in 2022. 18 out of these 37 sales or whatever happened. So you're essentially saying, hey, a majority of them were in 2022. Then we see that they were in 2023 and then in 2021. That's when all the booms started happening. Also, people were refinancing money out of their houses. So when the house goes in value, people pull money out. There was actually the 2016. So the ones right here that you see, 2016 and 2019. How does somebody have a short sale that bought their house before the boom of 72% increases during the pandemic? Well, what happened is one of them, I believe, was a refi, but I can't find it. So they refinanced the house. And actually the foreclosure that I'm going to go over here, there was kind of some things like that as well. And I'm kind of hopping all over the place here, but I'm just trying to show you guys what's going on. And the short sale for that new construction, if we pop down here and we look at this price chart, I mean, you just see this, right? It's just dropping. Now, some of it looks a lot worse than it is. Some of it looks better than it is, because Zillow just gives you these estimates and they're kind of not accurate. It's just an algorithm. But we see that they're trying to sell this, and they bought it in 2022 from a builder. Well, we know what builders were doing. They were hiking prices up, causing bidding wars, which usually doesn't happen. And now when you're selling a house, when you buy in a new construction area, when prices come down, you're competing with a builder. So now the builder is selling houses for less than what they sold them at the peak, And when you sell yours, you have to discount them below what the builder is paying. So if the builder has theirs up, let's say a builder has a house up for $450,000 or a townhouse. Well, if they have it for $450,000, somebody's going to say, well, you're selling yours for $430,000. Why would I buy a used car when I can go buy a brand new car? And it's only, instead of $430, it's $450, but nobody's lived in it. The paint is fresh, the carpet is fresh. And that's the thing. Just like in a car, you drive it off the lot, it loses value. Same thing with a house. As long if prices are not going up and builders are not increasing their prices, your house is not going to go up in value. It will go down in value before it goes up in value because you're competing with the builder. And the more new construction that's going on, the more you're going to be competing for a longer period of time with the builder. And I will help you, even with builders, take advantage. There was a house. I mean, I've knocked them down upwards of over 100 grand. I mean, these houses were selling for 1.3 and I got them for 1.1, even under 1.1. So, I mean, I was able to knock them down, and two of them, not one. I'll actually cover this in a previous video. Somebody helped buy one after me and they spent 80 grand more than crazy stuff. Anyway, we see that happening here. Now, this is the foreclosure one, and then I'm going to go back over here. So I know we're kind of hopping everywhere, but we take a look and we see this. We see that FHA has the most short sales. VA is second. Conventional is third, even though they have the highest market share. We see right here that 2022 and 2023 were the worst times for people in short sales. That's when they are. And it's because, well, if you buy at the wrong time in 2023, if you bought on the uptick and now you're selling in 2024 on the downward trend here in the second half, which we're in right now, then you bought at a higher price. VA is 0% down, FHA is 3.5% down, conventional is 5% down, and of course, conventional, if you want to get rid of the mortgage insurance, you do 20% plus down and you get rid of that. And if somebody has just a 0%, 3%, 5% down payment, well, when you're selling your house and that value goes down, there's realtor fees, title fees. So your down payment would maybe, just be able to take those expenses. Now, we're seeing the data here. We're seeing what's going on. And then this is right here, the foreclosure. So if we actually scroll down, here it is, special conditions auction. So it was a foreclosure. They do an auction, trying to get a lot of money. The bank was just not getting, during that auction phase, what they wanted, what they felt that the value was, because it was so underwater. The loan amount that was out on this house was ridiculous. So the bank took a huge hit. I mean, they were taking a loss that banks have just not been taking. They were not willing to take it. So then they turned it essentially into more of a short sale. Well, I still knocked down the price and I still got closing costs added onto that. And there was another one in the area as well that was not a short sale. And that one, I think, ended up selling for about $15,000 more. So essentially, when a short sale, a lot of people think it's a great deal, but short sales, really all it means is this is the market value, this is the loan amount, and somebody's selling it because they lost their job, they can't make the payments, they have some bills from a car accident, from whatever's going on, right? So they have to unfortunately sell, and their loan amount is here, the market's here. All the bank says is, hey, what's the market value? You drop it down to market value, and then the bank takes that and they write off the loss, and it looks better on somebody's credit report than a foreclosure. It's easier to recover from. It doesn't ding you as bad, but it still does ding your credit score a lot. I mean, it does take some time to recover, but not like a foreclosure. So short sales are not the same thing as a foreclosure. And even here, because we're not seeing an influx of foreclosures, so even on this one here, they started treating it like a short sale. They said, this auction's not working. We're not getting what we want. They put it on the market, and they were treating this foreclosure like a short sale. I mean, it was just sitting on the market, and they were, and they kept trying to do these auctions, and then they finally said, you know what, this is the price. This is what we want. It sat on the market, and then I was able to negotiate it. And it took a couple of weeks when we had to keep negotiating back and forth with the bank. And short sales, this one, it took a little bit of time, and the bank is very slow, but there's not a whole lot of short sales. When there is a lot of short sales, I mean, you could be 6 months to just get this house closed, but really all it is market value. Foreclosures, that on the other hand, is when the bank is trying to just get rid of it, and they are losing money. They know they're losing money, and they know they're losing money below market value. But with short sales, it's a little bit different. And if we take a look here, these ones over here in 2019, two of them, it was investors that bought it, and then the investors sold the house to somebody. So essentially it was bought for cash, and then on one of them there was a VA loan, and on another one there was a conventional loan, which means even though they were bought in 2019, whoever bought it, the investor might have fixed it up, sold it to somebody. That person ended up taking a loan on it, and it was off market stuff, so who knows what kind of purchase price they actually even agreed to, where they bought it at the market, if they've then refinanced after that, because a lot of people were taking equity out of their house. There was actually more equity taken during the pandemic refinance boom than there was prior to 2008 and 2009. And that's why I keep telling people, until things settle, you just really don't know what's going to happen, because if there was more money taken out during the pandemic than prior to 08, 09, and unemployment was to spike, well, how can you say that we have better parameters, we have better protections? I mean, more money was taken out. So, and houses are higher, which means, if one house forecloses on, the bank is essentially maybe losing twice as much as they were in 08, 09 because of these increased prices. Now, that's how you take advantage of it, because you got to kind of follow the data, see what's going on. And I'm seeing that houses are lingering in the market. Sellers are willing to take offers now that are lower. Inventory keeps piling up. Unless we see that recession finally come. I mean, it's been coming for 2 years here, but unemployment has went up, and I've covered this in previous videos. It went from its historically low levels of 3.5, 3.6%, 3.4, 3.7, and we've crossed that 4% barrier. Now we're at 4.2, 4.1, 4.3, 4.2, and there's more layoffs in the news and things like that. So if this spirals out of control, then we know we're going to have a full-out recession and potentially some kind of crash in the housing market, just like we did in that second half of 2022 with a historically low unemployment rate. Unemployment rate was 3.5, 3.6%, and yet we saw prices drop upwards of 15%. And the greater Salt Lake area in 2022 was one of the hardest hit areas in America. So we were one of the hardest hit nationwide. And I knew that was coming just based on the data, based on what was going on. And one thing that we just have to pay attention to is all the different data of what is actually going on here in the housing market. Well, if we take a look at this over here, and there we go, we see that we have way more inventory this year than we had last year. However, look at under contracts. So inventory is up essentially almost 2,000, but under contracts here are up 350 units. So there is more under contracts right now than we had in 2023. However, that has not yet really shown in the sales data. And if we take a look here, 4,000, instead of having 3,800, having 4,100 is really not that big of a deal, because in 2018 and in 2019, we see that we were around 6,000 with under contracts. Essentially, we're a third, right? 4,000, 6,000. So we're 30%, over 30% less than what we had in the last pre-pandemic years of 2018 and 2019. And we see that inventory is also back to 2018, 2019 levels. And in 2022, it was greater in the second half. In 2023, we see it's slightly lower, right? But however, we see this year, it's much bigger. I mean, we have 11,100, so we essentially have 1,500 more. And if we take a look at this over here, this inventory, we're seeing this growth, right? I've been showing you guys this. And I essentially said, I think we're going to hit 11,500. I don't think we're going to get to 12,000 here when the market peaks with its inventory in October. And essentially, we ended September at 11,413. So I'm just another 87 units away from being able to predict right on the dot that we were going to have 11,500 active units towards the end of the year. It's just following data. It's seeing what's going on. It's seeing what the amount of listings that are coming in, because they're coming in at a much greater number than last year. And that's what saved the market in 2023 versus 22, is because listings were coming at a negative year over year. But now we're seeing more houses hitting the market. So that's why we have to follow the data all around what's going on with different parameters. Now, if we go back here and we look at this statistics, and this is what I mean. It's been about a couple of months where that under contracts has been increasing. But if we take a look at August, there was less sales. And so far, there was a little bit less sales in September than a year ago. And right now, I'm sure that there's going to be another 100 of them that come in. So I think we're going to be slightly higher here than we were a year ago. But we see we keep flip-flop up, and I covered that. So right here, we take a look. We see August, it was 3,400 this year, 3,500 last year. We see we're essentially almost at 2,900, where we were at 2,946. And then some of these other months, for example, there was more sales, 3,600 versus 3,500 in May. So we're seeing sales essentially kind of give and take certain months. And if we take a look at what's actually going on with the sold data with homes that are for sale here, and this video is quite long, but I'm trying to give you guys data so you know what's going on here. And right here, if we take a look at this right there, So right here, we see 34,000 units sold in 2023, 39,000 in 2022, because the second half was just really bad. 2019, we had 47,000, and we see 2020 was the year that we had the most sales of 52. And essentially this year, we're going to end with 34,000, 35,000 units as well. So sales, you see, are not even back to pre-pandemic. The under contracts are not back to pre-pandemic, yet inventory is. Inventory is back to pre-pandemic levels and actually higher right now than it was in 2019. And that's how we can take advantage. That's how I negotiate on your behalf. So if you're a seller, you want to get your house on the market ASAP here before we get into the holidays. And we might or might not see that uptick. I mean, if unemployment keeps going up, inventory stays elevated, people start putting their houses, we might not even see that uptick in 2025. However, the trend has been that we most likely will, because that's when the most buyers come out after the holidays, they buy, and then inventory starts coming down here in November, December, January, February, before inventory starts going back up. So that's going to be the trend that the data is suggesting here. So if you're wanting to buy in the near future, give me a call. My contact information is down below. We can take advantage of the market here. Make sure that we're buying at the bottom of the market in case something happens, that you have a cushion built into it. And again, the contact information is down below. If you haven't yet, subscribe. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Help me get this video in front of more people.